as I said before, a lot of these types of shows don't get well emphasized enough by the media, so they're not really beloved. So they're incredibly underappreciated and underrated, underplayed, and people might know about it for a hot second, and then the next second they forget about it. It doesn't even exist. Now, of course, we know that the movie series started in the late 90s. So the first movie was 97, the second was 98. They had a third one in '06. I watched all of them. They were all great. Props to the people who put them together. Now, this TV show here, I didn't discover until actually about a month ago. Maybe even less than that, more or less, about a month. And it's available on Amazon Prime. I watched the whole thing in just 2 or 3 days, only because there's 8 episodes. Of course, it got canceled after a season. Now, I'm going to go into this later on to see if there's a reason why they canceled it. I don't know. But let's start with the ratings. Rotten Tomatoes, 42. Internet Movie Database, 54. Google users, 66 to 68. Incredibly underrated. Let's see what Common Sense Media gave it. I don't see a number here under Common Sense Media. Maybe they didn't put it here on this one. I don't know why they didn't do that if they didn't. Let's see. Nope, for some reason it's not there. But I watched it. I thought it was pretty good. I personally would give it at least a 70, 80. I think the ending could have been a little bit better. But it wasn't a total cliffhanger, but I think there definitely could have been more to that. Now, here is the gist. Very much similar to the movies, because the show is based off the movie, obviously. In a town full of secrets, a group of teenagers are stalked by a mysterious killer a year after a fatal accident on their graduation night. Now, here's how Common Sense Media breaks it down, and this is why Common Sense Media is one of my favorite websites, along with Screen Rant and a couple others. Are there any positive messages in here? Not really. Positive messages are few and far between. The overall vibe is downbeat. Teens are reduced to stereotypes. Hawaii is reduced to a colorful backdrop, and the intent seems to be to startle and shock. Positive role models. Not really. This says none. But there's a couple characters in there that I can say are kind of role models in a type of way, or at least they have a moral conscience to a degree. It's far too easy to reduce each character into a few words. Example, Margot is rich, insecure, and a social media influencer. Lennon is a party girl whose antics hide her inner emptiness, and so forth. Characters consistently make mistakes and often pay for them with physical violence and or death. Diverse representations, very little. Many characters are people of color, but their race is not referred to, and the central group of friends all seems like similarly privileged and empty-headed teens, while the action is centered on a young, thin white woman. This show is set in Hawaii, a state with a large population of indigenous people, but the culture of Hawaii is reduced to images of tiki torches and references to Hawaiian food. At least one character is pansexual, and his sexual identity is considered no big deal by his family and friends. Okay, so at least, there was no, the glorifying of tearing that down, or the bigoted aspect, or however you want to call that. Violence and scariness. An accidental death plays a central role in this drama. Expect to see a dead body shown at length. It looks like the person is sleeping. As well as blood. A decapitated animal head dripping blood, that was a goat, and other gruesome sights. Characters are suddenly dispatched by a shadowy murderer in the style of a 1980s era slasher movie. Of course, there is a good amount of sex, romance, and nudity. And I'm not really going to read the stuff that they're describing on here. You'd have to watch it to know what I'm talking about. But then again, anybody knows at this point what to expect. There's only so many shows and movies have done a lot over the years. So, I really don't have to say it. Some of this stuff here, I'm not going to say on this show. Products and purchases. Many shots show huge houses, expensive cars, enormous parties, and other trappings of luxury. One character's wealth is mentioned frequently. As far as drinking, smoking, and drugs, a lot. A main character smokes cigarettes and offers one to another character who takes it, saying, "As long as they'll kill me." Teens at a party drink something from plastic cups, and in one scene, partygoers chant at a main character to make him drink. Some talks of drugs. People are high, people are drunk, blah, blah. It says right here, parents need to know that I Know What You Did Last Summer is a downbeat mystery suspense drama based on a 1973 adult novel that was also adapted into a hit movie of the same name in 1997 with lots of iffy content. The drama is built around, I'm sorry, I just lost it. Where did it go? The drama is built around an accidental death that turns into a cover-up with a victim and a perpetrator who are different than in the book and the movie. Expect to see, okay, so that's repeating some of the same stuff. A 3-star on here by the name of Renee said, really bad role models. Lots of different types of drugs showing the different ways to use. There's also sex shown at being nothing. Sexual manipulation and peer pressure. This title has too much drinking, drugs, and smoking. This person here has a 2-star that says, we wanted to like this, watched it as a family, and cringed through totally over the top. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, people. Some of this stuff is worded wrong. I'm trying to make this out here. And cringed through totally over the top sex scenes. I'm pretty open-minded, but the show glorifies teens making and selling porn, selling and using drugs of all kinds, student-teacher sexual relationship, etc. Couldn't care less about gore, swearing, or smoking, honestly, but the sex scenes didn't add to the show, and I ensured I wouldn't be recommended it. The adults having sex were totally cringeworthy. Okay, so this person is the parent of a 16-year-old, apparently. That's what they say there. It says too much sex, too much drinking, drugs, and smoking. I mean, honestly, from what I've seen of the show, it didn't do that much more of those things than your average horror slasher. I mean, a lot of those are going to have some of those things. I mean, some of them will have a little bit less, but to me, didn't stick out like that. I mean, I guess it depends on how you view it, really. One person here gave it a 1-star, said, this is in no way acceptable for kids. This review is regarding the new series that was released on Amazon in October of 2021. It says suitable for 16 plus, but this show is extremely inappropriate for any kid/teen. In the 45 minutes that I've had it on, there has been multiple sex scenes, nudity, and drug use. I want to ensure that parents were aware prior to assuming it's okay for teens. This person gave it a 4-star. Okay, a little bit better. This is most definitely a show for adults. There's a lot of nudity, drugs, violence, and crude language. I started watching it with my 13-year-old and promptly turned it off. I am shocked that Common Sense Media has this rated for 15-year-olds. Okay, hold on. Now, some of the opinions of that are totally legitimate. Don't get me wrong. However, again, this is where I say, and I've talked about this before. I think I talked about this in the video when I was talking about Case 39. So before you watch a show or movie, or even before you play a video game, there's these things called ratings. And there's these things called trailers. The trailer, which gives you parts and pieces to what that thing is going to be about. And then it also says, hey, this content contains language, nudity, drugs, drinking, whatever, or references to, jokes, whatever. And then that's why movies have G, PG, PG-13, R, NC-17, or unrated. And then you have video games, same thing. It's rated E for everyone, or M for mature, or T for teens, or, whatever. So with this show right here, now Common Sense, did they give it a 15? I thought it was 16, but it might have been, it's not showing it now. But, okay, I'm just a little bit frozen on that because unless you decided to just watch the show without looking at the trailer or without reading about it at all because you assumed that it was just like the movies, it was a little bit more crude than the movies. But if you just went into it blindly and you have a 13-year-old child with you, of course that would prompt you to turn it off. And I probably would do the same thing if I had a child that was 13. I mean, I don't have any kids. But, that reminds me of someone who said they watched the movie, they went into it blindly, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't like that they had a horror aspect to it." Well, it's called a horror film, so there's gonna be some horror to it. It lets you know the genre of the shows and the movies. Hey, this is an action. This is a comedy. This is a drama. This is a slasher, a horror, a suspense, a thriller, a mystery, supernatural, science fiction, whatever it might be. So I don't know if that person had paid attention to that before they watched it, but hey, again, it's just an opinion at the end of the day. This one right here, 4 out of 10, 4 out of 5 says, this is most definitely a show for... Okay, I already read that one. Sorry about that. Those two are exactly the same thing. I don't know how that doubled. This person here also said, I'm amazed that Common Sense Media would give this a 15 rating when it's clearly a 17. This person here says, not appropriate for teens. Graphic porn scene now featured in Pornhub. Okay. Now, let's go over to what the Google reviews are saying. So I get some people's reasons for not liking it or not thinking it. So I get that. Let's look at some of the 5 stars on Google. I don't get how some people don't enjoy this show. Honestly, one of my favorite scary TV shows I've ever watched. It has everything. Good characters you fall in love with, mystery, the biggest plot twists, romance, humor, and most importantly, originality. Love this show. So angry they canceled it. It is truly a masterpiece that everyone will love. There was a huge plot twist in that show. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, that plot twist was enormous. There were multiple plot twists, actually. I would say there were 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's at least 3 major plot twists in there, and I'm not going to spoil any of them now. But just watch it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This person here says, I really enjoyed this season. Can't wait for season 2. I'm sorry, there's not going to be a season 2. Sad to say that, but that's okay. You thought that before they officially confirmed that it was going to be canceled. It started with like a movie and turned into a different story, which I liked. I want to know the secret about this person's cult. I'm not going to say any names. And end where somebody opened their eyes. I know that sounds too vague in general, but I'm not saying any names here because I'm not trying to spoil it. I don't want to spoil anything. I bet it's all going to unravel in the prophecy in the next season. No, it's not, because there's not going to be a next season. This person here says, okay, whatever gender you are, I don't know why that started that like that. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay. Anyways, I really don't get why this show is not hitting the fan yet. Like, it's actually an amazing show. I'm to the edge of my seat every episode, and it really keeps me in, if that makes sense. I normally never fully complete series because I just didn't feel interested in it anymore. But this show is different. Everything is so perfect to me in this show. So in my opinion, this deserves way more attention. I totally recommend it. One of the best series Prime has to offer. I'm really enjoying the show because it's full of thrill, suspense, twist and turn, brutal killing, and a psycho serial killer, and I love these kind of shows. Cinematography of show really awesome. Everyone should watch the show. You will not regret. So those are your basic reviews right there and opinions based on, those sources and what I read. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take there's a 2-minute trailer on YouTube. I'm going to put in the comment section. The way you can watch this show is, again, it's available on Amazon Prime. Now, some of you are thinking like, I don't feel like paying some money or paying Amazon $12, $13, $14, whatever a month just to watch this show. Well, here's what you can do. And again, this is just an option. And here's what I did with things before. Free trial. They have a free trial, 30-day free trial. The show only has 8 episodes, and then just cancel the trial before those 30 days. Give you plenty of time to catch up on other shows, too. Nothing wrong with it. It's not illegal. That's why it's called a free trial. So, Amazon Prime, get the free trial, watch it. If you're into that type of stuff, again, it's slasher, horror, mystery, suspense, just like the movies. So, I thought it was a pretty good show, and as far as props to the cast, Madison Iceman played Lennon and Allison. Brianne Chu as Margot. I cannot talk right now. Ezekiel Goodman as Dylan. Ashley Moore as Riley. Sebastian Amoruso as Johnny. Fiona Renee as Lila. Bill Heck as Bruce. Brooke Bloom as Clara. Victoria Schmidt as Yulani. Sonia Balmores, might be more as May. Danielle Dulani, Hannah. Spencer Sutherland as Dale. Chrissy Fitt as Kelly. So, hats off to all of them. Thanks for putting together this amazing show. I thought it was really great. I binged it. Again, I really watched it in about 2 nights. So, I thought the show was pretty good. So, check it out. Watch it for yourself. And let me know what you think. If you have seen the show, just put your thoughts in the comment section. Really good show. Let me know what you think.